There is a metamorphosis that almost no one sees, but that transforms everything. It does not happen suddenly. It does not arrive with fanfare. It does not impose itself upon the eyes of the world. True transformation is invisible at first. It begins silently, discreetly, imperceptibly, like a seed cast into the earth that, before breaking the surface, spends days, weeks, months transforming in darkness, in depth, where no one can reach. And yet, so many live trapped in the recurring frustration of trying to change, of wanting to change, of promising to change. And yet, they find themselves imprisoned by the same emotional patterns, the same behaviors, the same choices. Like invisible prisoners, chained not by what is concrete, but by what they cannot let go of within themselves. The mistake is to think that change requires a grand rupture, a spectacular escape, a dramatic gesture, when, for Stoicism, true transformation is something else. It is not about breaking from the world, but about quietly adjusting the internal structure. It is not about what is displayed, but about what is silenced, not about what is exhibited, but about what is mastered and ultimately transcended. Epictetus, the man born a slave, could have lived and died as a prisoner of circumstance, but he understood that it was not necessary to escape the chain to be free. It was necessary to transform the mind. He did not change his place. He did not change his status. He changed his essence, and in doing so, he became unrecognizable. Seneca, the senator, the counselor to emperors, the man surrounded by wealth and intrigue, he knew that the most important transformation was not the one that altered circumstances, but the one that shaped, with silent discipline, the way he dealt with his own mind. He did not seek a new world, but a new gaze upon the same world. This video is an invitation to, in 7 days, apply Stoic tactics that do not transform merely appearances, but the deep structure of your life. A process invisible, silent, but that, in the end, will make no one recognize who you were before. Because true metamorphosis is not the one that others applaud, but the one that only you feel when you look within yourself. There is an anguish that feeds itself on a silent, desperate attempt to control the uncontrollable. Many live this way, exhausting their strength, trying to adjust the world, other people, circumstances, as if, with enough effort, it would be possible to guarantee security, predictability, perfection. But it is not. Epictetus, with the serenity of one who understood the essential, taught, "Some things depend on us, others do not." And this distinction changes everything, because the first step to any profound transformation is to recognize that there are limits, and upon accepting them, to experience a relief, a rest, an invisible but powerful liberation. It is not weakness to surrender to the inevitable. Weak is the one who insists on fighting against what can never be controlled. Strong is the one who chooses to concentrate energy only on that which is within reach, and to let go, with serenity, of that which is not. On this first day, there is a silent practice that can change your relationship with life. List everything that today causes anguish, that consumes, that worries you. And before each item, ask, does this depend on me or not? What does not depend, let it go. Letting go is an act of strength, of maturity, of intelligence. Like the navigator who adjusts the sails, but never tries to command the wind. You learn that your freedom does not lie in control, but in choosing where to place your energy. And thus, you begin the path to become unrecognizable. Not because you changed the world, but because you changed the way you position yourself within it. Fear is a shadow that stretches over every step of those who have not learned to anticipate the inevitable. To live as if life must always be comfortable, predictable, protected, is an illusion. And when that illusion is broken, it paralyzes, weakens, destroys. Fear does not arise from what happens, but from what is not expected, from what surprises, from what finds us unprepared. Seneca, with his unwavering lucidity, taught, "The man who anticipates misfortune overcomes it even before it arrives." Because to imagine the worst is not pessimism, it is preparation. Those who anticipate do not despair. Those who foresee do not break. Those who welcome what may happen do not fear when it does. On this second day, there is a silent, transformative practice. Upon waking, imagine the obstacles, the unexpected, the challenges that may arise throughout the day, not as one who invites tragedy, but as one who fortifies their own soul to face it with serenity when and if it comes. Like the general who studies every terrain, every possibility before the battle, and for that is never surprised. You too prepare yourself, not to avoid discomfort, but to pass through it without losing dignity and presence. And thus, on this second step, you learn that fear is not a sentence, but a choice, and that by anticipating discomfort, you free yourself from it even before it tries to dominate you. There is a weight that many carry without realizing it, and that gradually accumulates silently until it crushes the lightness of existence. It is the weight of unnecessary desires, of incessant wanting, of endless seeking. The belief that happiness is always in the next object, in the next conquest, in the next recognition. Epictetus, with the wisdom of one who freed himself even while living in chains, taught, "Happiness does not consist in acquiring, but in eliminating desires. Because those who desire less live more freely. Those who reduce the number of things they believe they need find an inner freedom that cannot be negotiated nor purchased." On this third day, there is a movement, silent but liberating. Upon noticing a desire, ask yourself with honesty, is this essential or is it an excess? And upon recognizing the excess, let it go. To release, to abandon, not as one who loses, but as one who frees himself from a burden that was never necessary. Like the traveler who, by leaving behind unnecessary baggage, discovers that they can walk faster, with less pain, with more lightness. So too, those who neutralize unnecessary desires find a new way to inhabit the world. Without the anxiety that corrodes, without the haste that exhausts, without the lack that paralyzes. And thus, on this third step, you realize that true freedom does not lie in what is conquered, but in what you have the courage to leave behind. To judge is a reflex, almost automatic, almost inevitable. It builds invisible walls between us and the other. To judge is to place the other in a box that limits, that restricts, that distances. It is to assume that our own view is sufficient to define who the other is, what they feel, what they deserve. And in doing so, not only the other is reduced, but we too are diminished in our capacity to welcome, to understand, to love. Marcus Aurelius, with his firm serenity, taught, "Each one acts according to what they believe is good." And this understanding dismantles the impulse for quick judgment. The other acts according to that which they know, which they have learned, which they can at that moment. Not as provocation, but as a result of what they are, and of what they have not yet been able to become. On this fourth day, there is a gesture, silent, that can transform your relationships. Upon noticing yourself judging, interrupt the thought and ask, "Am I certain of this, or is it merely my interpretation?" And in making this pause, you discover that often the judgment is not a truth, but a defense. It is not a certainty, but a fear. It is not clarity, but a projection. Like the gardener who observes the plant growing in its own time, without rushing it or condemning it, so too, those who suspend judgment allow the other to flourish in their own way, at their own pace, in their own cycle. And in doing so, open space for a relational peace that does not demand perfection, but only presence and respect. And thus, on this fourth step, you learn that to judge is to limit, but to welcome is to free, not only the other, but yourself. Impulsiveness is a silent poison that disguises weakness as strength. Those who react without thinking believe they are being authentic, decisive, firm. But in truth, they are being led by emotions they do not even recognize, they do not even choose. To react without pause is to surrender your own power to circumstance, to the other, to chance. Epictetus, with the firm clarity of one who mastered his own soul, taught, "Before acting, ask yourself, is this in accordance with who I wish to be?" Because every action, every word, every silence builds or destroys the version that you are silently becoming. On this fifth step, there is a gesture seemingly simple, but profoundly transformative. When provoked, when offended, when challenged, create a space of 3 seconds before responding. Not as one who hesitates, but as one who chooses. Not as one who fears, but as one who masters. Not as one who retreats, but as one who leads themselves. Like the archer who only releases the arrow when they know the target is perfectly aligned, so too, those who practice the strategic pause respond with intention, with clarity, with strength, that does not shout, but that asserts itself through serenity. And thus, on this fifth step, you learn that true strength is not in reacting, but in choosing when, how, and if you should react. And this choice, silent, discreet, but powerful, is what begins to transform the way you relate not only to the world, but to yourself. To live distracted is to lose your very life while it happens silently before your eyes. Many live trapped in the past, in memories, in guilt, or else projected into the future, in expectations, in fears. And thus, they let slip away the only place where life truly is, the now. Seneca, with the lucidity that transcends centuries, warned, "It is not that we have little time, but that we lose much." And we lose precisely because we are not present, because we do without noticing. We walk without feeling. We speak without listening. We live without truly being. On this sixth day, there is a practice that does not require effort, but presence. In performing any action, be it eating, walking, working, be completely in it, without distraction, without anticipation, without regret. Only present. Feel your body. Notice your breath. Welcome the moment as it is. Like the monk who sweeps the floor, not to finish, but to practice presence. So too, those who cultivate mindful attention discover that transformation does not happen in grand milestones, but in small, conscious, repeated, silent, yet profound gestures. And thus, on this sixth step, you realize that life is not where you imagine, but exactly where you are, and that by inhabiting with presence each moment, you begin to transform not just what you do, but who you are. To live without reflection is to repeat. It is to walk without realizing toward the same places, toward the same mistakes, toward the same patterns that so often cause pain and frustration. Many accumulate experiences, but not wisdom. They pass through the days, but do not learn. They let time pass, but do not allow it to transform them. Marcus Aurelius, with the discipline of one who knew that the most difficult empire to govern is the inner one, advised, "Each night reflect. What did I do well? What did I do poorly? What did I fail to do?" Because true transformation does not require grand gestures, but small, daily, discrete, consistent adjustments. Like one who tunes an instrument until it sounds with precision and beauty. On this seventh day, there is a ritual, silent but fundamental. At the end of each day, record 3 things: 1 success, 1 mistake, and 1 lesson. Not to judge, but to understand. Not to condemn, but to shape. Not to punish, but to transform. Like the sculptor who each day removes a little more from the raw stone until the essential form begins to emerge. So too, those who practice self-evaluation go silently removing excesses, adjusting angles, refining gestures, until one day they look at themselves and do not recognize, and realize that finally they have become unrecognizable, not because they changed appearance, but because they transformed their essence. In the end, true transformation does not happen with public declarations, nor with drastic changes, nor with theatrical ruptures, but with silent, constant, disciplined, almost invisible adjustments that, day after day, rebuild not only what you do, but who you are. Epictetus remains a living metaphor of one who, without changing social status, changed his essence. Of one who, without fleeing circumstances, transcended all of them, and for that, transformed profoundly until becoming unrecognizable, not in the eyes of the world, but in his own eyes when he looked within. Marcus Aurelius reinforces, with his imposing yet silent figure, the reminder that even in the midst of chaos, even surrounded by power and war, Inner discipline is the only form of transcendence, the only transformation that truly matters, that truly endures, that truly transforms. This is the invitation that remains open before you. Do not wait another year. Do not postpone another cycle. Experiment for 7 days these stoic, silent, but powerful practices, and discover that in the end, the most surprising will not be the change that others will see, but the new version of yourself that you will feel, that you will inhabit, that you will recognize, or rather, that you will no longer recognize. Like the seed that germinates in silence, invisible beneath the earth, but that upon blossoming becomes unrecognizable, so too is Stoic transformation, silent, profound, inevitable, and, above all, definitive. If this message touched you, leave in the comments, "I choose to transform my essence." And remember, transform yourself silently and simply be. If this video strengthened you, like and subscribe. Thus, you help us to spread even further this philosophy of transformation, silent and profound.